What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Tide Talk. Crack a beer, cozy up. It's Wednesday, July 24th, and we're coming at you a little earlier than usual as we'll be heading off to finalize our preparations for the massive Tide Talk bomb we'll be dropping in the next 24 hours or so. So make sure you stay tuned and keep your ears and eyes open for that one. With that said, if you don't follow us on our social media accounts, now is the time to do so. We've got a really cool announcement coming. Just a reminder, each episode is available on YouTube, and if you're watching now, please take a second to subscribe to our channel and click the like button on this video. You can also find Tide Talk on your favorite podcast applications like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you listen on one of those, we'd really appreciate it if you took a minute to leave us a 5-star rating and a short review, as it helps more people find our podcast. If you're not already using the Club Collector app, click the link in this episode description to get on that site. Go enter the code Tide Talk, all one word, to get a free pack added to your collection today. Now that all of that's out of the way, this is the away end. I'm your host, Matt, and I'm joined by my good friend, Ryan. What's up, buddy?
Hello, hello.
There were a lot of people who were worried about you. I did the last away end by myself. They missed you. They missed your bald head. So I'm glad you got a hat on today. Even more tease.
Some of us don't have the stamina you do to do a double podcast night. So
hey, that was epic. That was quite a night. My vocal cords were all over the place. Justin wants to know what the big news is in the chat. Contrary to popular belief, and it'll upset Andrew Quadros, we're not starting a Tide Talk OnlyFans. So I'll just leave it at that. It's not that.
I mean, it's not off the table, to be clear. It's not off the table, but that is not this announcement.
It's not current. It's not happening now. We've kept you waiting long enough. We've got Zach here from Target Strike Drumline Supporters Group in North Carolina to preview RIFC's upcoming match versus NCFC. How's it going, Zach?
Hey, everybody. Doing good.
You've been a very, very busy man, not only, with your NCFC support, but with a side project you've got going on. So let the good people know what you've been working on in your free time.
Yeah, I've got 3 things that I can promote here early in this episode. So the first thing is Target Strike. It's a drumline supporters group that I'm starting to rebuild post-COVID. It's coming with mixed results. It's, things take time. Haven't really recruited any new drummers in, and I've had to miss a couple of games, but it is something that I'm in the works for. So if you're listening to this and you happen to be in North Carolina, Raleigh area, and you want to drum with me, just give me a reach out, 919Zach on Twitter, and I can get you in with a drum. I've got plenty of drums. Drums are not the issue.
Sweet.
The other thing that I got going on, so I partnered with Protagonist since the last time we talked. Protagonist Soccer, they cover lower league soccer here in the United States. Specifically, I started a new podcast with them covering supporters groups across the Americas heading into World Cup 26. So really just trying to get some stories and find out all the cool, interesting things that supporters across the leagues do, from, all the way down to the pre-professionals up to MLS, just making sure I have conversations with everybody ahead of the World Cup, and just kind of be a resource for all of the new explosion of fans that we're going to get in the next couple of years, just to kind of tell some stories and find out some little niche things that you just otherwise wouldn't hear about now, because everybody's got their stories and the kind of cool original things that they do just in their little areas.
That's right.
And then lastly, I launched a soccer club, an indoor soccer club that also plays futsal, starting here in August. Partnered with a local community center. We've got open play futsal starting August 7th, and then the team officially kicks off in the indoor soccer league on the 22nd of August. So yeah, I've had a lot going on since the last time we talked.
Futsal's so fun. I played for the first time last year in a league, and it was a blast.
Yeah,
it's just chaos.
It's a lot of fun, and it's really underrepresented here in Raleigh. There's one place that does adult futsal, and then everything else is youth. So I think we're trying to get a capture on a market that otherwise is underrepresented here in the Triangle.
I mean, the sales pitch is like it's soccer, but you don't have to run as much, so it's nice for us older folk to get back in the game that way.
Yeah, and it's got the continuous substitution, so you do your shift for 2-3 minutes, come out, and just keep on rolling. Yeah, it's great.
My favorite thing too is like that little ball. It's like a little heavier. You can just rocket it. Like you can kick it as hard as you want. It doesn't matter. That was the best.
Yeah. It has a really low bounce on it, so it's just it just sings through the air.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
I'm a high school PE teacher. That's all we let the kids use in the gym, just because you can absolutely rip it and it's not going to go pinging everywhere. So
yeah,
I love it. Love the futsal ball.
Yeah, so that's what I got.
Awesome. Thank you for everyone who's joined us in the chat. Just a reminder, you can ask questions in real time, and we'll do our best to pull them up on air. But let's dive into this RIFC versus NCFC preview.
Yeah, so Zach, we obviously, or not we, Matt talked to you earlier in the season. We got to speak a bit about like what got you into NCFC. So, since then, just looking at the season so far, you guys sit 9th in the East. You are 2 points behind RIFC. So we've been talking about this already, but this is a pretty big one for both our teams' playoff hopes.
Massive.
You got
a playoff chase 6-pointer, I'll say.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I love building the intrigue already. You guys, last 5, draw, loss, win, draw. Looking like you're still very, very stingy. Only averaging 1.15 goals against per match. How have things gone since the last time we talked, or you guys talked?
It's been a little bit the same as it's been. I feel like we still haven't turned that corner that we need to have a truly successful season. So we've kind of just been sitting right in the middle of the pack as kind of a little bit less than expectations from going into the season. We're picking up points on the road. We're getting draws, especially going out to like Sacramento and playing at what was like 11 o'clock at night start time, going into the next day. Some hard conditions. We've picked up the points there, which is good. But then, we'll get into that a little bit later. But then we had games like with the Battery where, we're struggling with cleanliness of play. We're getting a lot of yellow cards, and then specifically the red cards, which we'll get into. And it's really just kind of bunkering down and cleaning up play and playing with more than 9 men. It would be nice.
Usually helpful.
Yeah.
That definitely always helps. Part of a segment that we do on here is called the Good, Bad, and the Ugly. So to continue with your reviewing your season so far, if you could give us one good moment from your season, a bad moment, and a not so good and an ugly moment from the season.
So probably our best moment so far is beating up Miami and scoring 8 goals on them so far. Probably our most consistent games have been against Miami. And
I was worried you were going to say our draw because I was really hoping that wasn't the peak of your season.
Yeah, it's just no, definitely Miami is the peak. Like I don't think we've put together a better performance in those 2 games. The ugly is the Battery game where we went down a man and then we had, I think it was 3 or 4 goals scored on us in the 90 plus. And that's pretty ugly.
Honestly just rude, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's just bad. That shouldn't happen, period.
Yeah.
So that's just ugly. And to be a derby game and a long-standing rivalry between the Battery and NCFC, it's just rough to see. Rough to see.
Got it.
And then the bad, coming back to the yellow cards and specifically the red cards, Ezra Armstrong has picked up 2 red cards now in back-to-back appearances. And I like what
have we considered if he wants just some extra time off, if he doesn't think the vacation policy is fair?
So the last home game, he was in the stands with the supporters, and that's great and everything, but I would rather see him on the field than with the supporters.
Like, already have a mascot.
It's cool that the players want to come hang out, but like, I need you on the field.
Right on. Matt Hens brings up a good point in the chat. We're a very different team, and it's kind of been going on in the chat since the last time we played. We had to play Prince Sadie and Doyle up front in the one out against you. So we are a much changed team as well with personnel and how we've been playing. So thank you for the good, bad, and the ugly there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just one other segment that we do on this show is the RIFC in 3. So that's where people chime in on social media after the games and they respond to their 3-word review of the match. Can you give us a 3-word review of the season so far?
Should be better.
That's a good one.
On paper, this is a great team and should be a playoff team. It's got the caliber on attack. We've got a really stout defense with McGuire in goal and Paco Craig and Batista on the back line of just outstanding player list on paper. Something clicks on some games, but it's just not clicking. So just like my 3 words, it should be better. It just needs to be better.
Yeah, I mean, kind of breaking format on that. Like, has there been anything you've noticed that you think could be the key, or some keys that you think the team is like, maybe have shied away from that they should look at, or something like that?
It's mainly putting away chances. I think we have a really good lineup of attackers that just haven't scored like go back to Olex Anderson, who's my skip segments a little right here. Here's my surprise sub of like who's the key player to look out for a super sub. He hasn't. He's went on a bit of a scoring run, and then he went back on a drought, and then he scored a PK, and then hasn't really done anything since. And so it's like he's kind of been in this hot and cold. And if he would just get hot, kind of similar to Conway is for us right now, he's on a hot streak. And so if we could just get our attackers just to be able to put away chances, I think we could go on a tear here late in the season. And that's really all we need. I think it's just our attackers just to get hot.
No, right on. One thing we talked about last time on there was the stadium atmosphere and what it would be like, inside for anyone traveling. How is the NC traveling support? Do people get out and go to away games?
Probably not all the way up to Rhode Island. You get some people to go out to Charleston, but it's hard at this level to get people to make that long distance up to Rhode Island.
I will say I did the Providence to Raleigh breeze flight, very cheap and affordable. So if anyone's considering it, it is our kit sponsor as well. So
yeah, there you go. They did reach out to the Target Strike Facebook group and put in a link and a deal for supporters, but I don't think anybody bit.
Yeah, cool.
That's awesome. So looking at the game upcoming this weekend, and everybody start getting your predictions in the chat. What would you say the keys? I know we kind of got a preview of this with round one. Looking at maybe that match, also what's happened since then. What do you think the keys would be for North Carolina to bring those points back on that breeze flight to rally?
I'm kind of counting this into the just clean play. Stop with the yellow cards. Stop with the red cards. Be secure on the ball. And stop making sloppy plays to on Ezra Armstrong it was a doxo, and just be better on the ball, and I think we can compete with pretty much anybody in this league. The moment we start getting sloppy play and step away from our game and being secure in the way we play, that's when we start making mistakes, and that's when the game gets out of control.
Yeah, and just looking at the kind of opposite end there, if RIFC were to win, what do you think might have occurred? I think you kind of just answered that question, but any key areas that RIFC might be looking to exploit?
Yeah, I mean, attack early, get NCFC on their back foot early, and then don't let off the gas. NCFC has the ability to come back. They are a strong second half team this season. And the results may not be there of getting that goal in the second half, but they oftentimes come out of that locker room in the second half on the front foot and in an attacking mode.
Yeah, right on. Another part of your segment, in kind of looking at what players to watch for this one. Give us 3 players that our fans should really keep their eye on throughout this match.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned them earlier, but we'll go into a little bit more detail of Evan Conway. He's one of our attackers. He is on a hot streak right now. I don't have the stats in front of me directly, but he scored in the last game while we were down a player against Detroit, and just eked out winning that one to a late goal by Detroit, sending us to a tie. But he has been very good and a very talented attacker, and the service to him has been really well. Less so with Ezra Armstrong sitting out on a red again, but getting the service to him has been really good. And if he is getting better at finishing those through balls, I think he is a real challenger for any opposition. Up there is McGuire. We've had a lot of low-scoring games and a lot of close games, and McGuire has been an excellent keeper in goal. We don't have too many options behind him, so that kind of worries me if he gets injured or just needs a break and to get tired in general. We've got Akira Fitzgerald behind him, which I think he's not a little bit past his prime. I think he's past his prime after his time with the Richmond Kickers, and I think he's more of a coach player now more than an actual player. So I think he's a stopgap. So having McGuire play a good game, stay safe, stay healthy is crucial. And then finally on the back line, this is a player I have had circled the entire time, and I think he's played phenomenally, and that's Batista. He is phenomenal on our back line, and as long as he's healthy, I think he can pretty much keep up with almost any attacker in the league right now.
Right on.
That's perfect. Yeah. So actually, Tyler in the chat had a great question that we'd love your perspective on, especially now that we've crossed that midway point of the season. So yeah, what has the transition been like from League One to the championship this season? I know that we might have asked kind of what your thoughts on that the first away end episode, but now that you're living it a bit longer, how's that going?
Yeah, so being a newer team, some of your fans may not know this, but we were actually in the championship before we went to League One, and then we were in Nassau before then. So we've been around for quite a long time. So we've kind of jumped leagues.
So you guys have experienced pro rel already.
Yeah, we've jumped Division 3, Division 2, have jumped in leagues a couple of times now, and so our staff and our GM and all that stuff had experience at championship level, and they've mentioned that they started recruitment back in the summer before it was announced that we moved up. So they had plans for this. I'd say we're falling right back into the trap or the rhythm that we found ourselves previously when we were at the Division 2 level of being right in the middle of the pack and just being able to compete but not being a stellar like top level team, and then getting back into the groove of transferring players off. That was always a part of the NCFC plan of bringing players through and then transferring them overseas. So this season has been a good example of that plan going into place, and then how being up a level helps get some of those players to further opportunities than they would if they were just playing in League One.
Tyler asked a really good follow-up question in the chat as well. You kind of talk about with selling people on and, getting them elsewhere, profiting off of it. But how has the squad changed when you've made these moves? So did you have a lot of your League One players, or was it a pretty big overhaul?
They kept a core of the League One players, but there was a pretty big overhaul of players coming in for a championship. There is a noticeable play difference between League One and Championship. It's pretty close, but there is a noticeable difference, and you can see how players. I'm breaking your guys' format here. My super sub that can influence the game, Olex Anderson. He was our top scorer in last year in League One, and he has just not been able to compete at a consistent level at the championship level, and that's really where I find the difference between League One and Championship. Is just the attacker that can tear up a storm in League One is not necessarily going to thrive in the Championship level of play.
What do you think the main reason for that is?
I think the defending is better. The goalkeeping, I think the goalkeeping is on a whole different level between League One and Championship. And you can get if you pay the money, you can get really good goalkeeping in League One. But I think overall the defending and the goalkeeping it's harder to recruit for. I'll say it that way. It's harder to recruit for. Right. It's harder to convince somebody to make the money that the players are making in USL League One to play goalkeeper or defender than it would be a striker who can then move on to another level.
Got it.
That's fair.
Trying to say words without saying
the
quiet part out loud.
Drift. Yeah, I catch your drift. That's perfect. Yeah, man, I don't know if you had any other segments you want to get to.
Yeah, that was it. I think next for us is we'll go with the ever inclusive score predictions that I know everyone's always excited to see and get in. And let me go into the chat so I can get all those pulled up. Susan had 4-1 RIFC. That would be a lot of goals. This NCFC team, and I talked to you, Zach, off air about stingy, this. Yeah. It's a stingy team. It's a tough nut to crack. When 11 players stay on the pitch, I guess.
Yeah, you've got to be Charleston in the 93rd minute to be able to score multiple goals on us.
Sure. We've got Scott, our guy from Wales, in the chat. 1-0 NCFC. A little closer game there. Comet Pants has 2-0 RIFC. We've got Jason with 2-2. And we also have Justin with a 2-1 RIFC. A 1-0 from Tyler. And Susan clarified her prediction of 4-1 with
nice.
High and hoping, and so that's perfect. That is it. And our guy Kevin FQB has 2-1 RIFC in the chat. So Ryan, since you're back with me today, I'll put you on the hot seat first. What do you got for your score prediction?
It's fair. So one big question mark I have going into this match, which we haven't really heard much about, is JJ Williams going to play? He came off injured last match. He has had a nice little 10 or so day break, so hopefully he was able to heal up in that time. So I have it as 2-0 Rhode Island FC if JJ can play. I have it 1-0 if he cannot.
See, you gave me shit last time. I gave 2 different score predictions. And
I think this one's very there's a clear linchpin on it though.
Well, see, the one you gave me shit on was
Actually, I was gonna say I don't remember why I did.
Yeah, I said it was when we were playing Indy, and I said this one both teams are not conceding a lot of goals. I think I went with like a 1-1 draw. I said, but I could also see there being a lot of goals. It ended up 3-3. So 6 goals, but you gave me shit on that, so I'll keep my.
All right, so, okay, to stick to my guns here, I'll go 2-0. Why not? Up the Tide.
There you go. Matt Strict in the chat. He's soaring in the chat saying 2-1 RIFC. Yup. Love to see it. So I'll kick it to you, Zach, before I give mine. What's your score prediction? How do you see this one playing out?
I think it's going to bore a lot of people, and it's going to be a nice, boring 0-0. And I'll give a second one 0-0 or 1-1. It's going to be low scoring. It's going to be a drag.
We're saying 0-0 on aggregate for the season.
Yeah. NCFC has been surprisingly consistent on the road of bringing in draws. So it's either going to be low scoring like a 1-1 or a 0-0 draw on the road for us.
Yeah, I think that first match we played might have been my least favorite match of the season.
Yeah.
I think it was somehow worse than the Tampa where we just got blown out in the second half. At least that was there's stuff going on.
Yeah.
Watching two teams not be able to pass a ball in the downpour was just pretty brutal to watch.
Like Tyler says in the chat, sounds like early season us. We got Draw Kings back in there as well. So it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. I'm gonna go boring as well, but I'm gonna go boring with a twist with an RIFC 1-0 win. I'm confident that the goals are there. I know you guys are a tough nut to crack, but I think our defense is playing well too right now. And if we're down to JJ, I can still see us getting a goal from a Quazera, from a Dikwa. So hopefully
you forgot Zach Haraval.
Zach Haraval coming in,
points out.
The USL Championship Player of the Week too. So first time we've talked on the air since then. So congratulations!
Only 30 minutes of play, just unbelievable stuff.
I find that very interesting when a sub gets it. I always think subs are automatically out of the running. That's just kind of who where my brain goes for it, I guess. But I think we've got more players coming off the bench and contributing. We haven't seen Isaac Anking since his game tying goal late against Indy. So does Isaac come on and give a late spark? I think the games have kind of dictated the fact that we haven't seen him. We've been trying to see out games versus chase a game late. So I think that's why we've seen a Haraval sub instead of a player like Isaac Anking come on. But I think he, Zach gave his super sub and people to watch out for. I think Isaac could be a super sub in this one for us. Definitely want to keep an eye on.
This game could use a little bit of chaos if it's anything like last time. So that'd be nice to see him come on and just be Tasmanian devil out there.
He is the chaos that we have off the bench. Whether it's scoring a banger late to equalize a game, or if it's giving up a really shitty free kick in a really shitty area, Isaac can do that for you. So
I will say I think one of the things last time we were here we struggled with, we had a discipline struggle, but we've given up less free kicks in dangerous spots, and I think that's one thing that we have gotten better at.
We also do kind of struggle with the accumulation of yellow cards. So knowing the quality of officiating within the USL Championship, I could see this one getting ugly if both teams are playing that physical brand and the refs just fuck it, I'm just going to book everyone. Maybe one side prop bet we can say is that this match does not end with 22 men on the pitch.
Ooh.
We'll throw that out there. But I'm going.
Say we do an over and under on yellow cards.
Yeah, right. I mean. Some of the what was that?
Does the line exist?
What was the game in the pouring rain? Was that was Charleston, right? We had 43 fouls or something like 47 fouls, just absolutely brutal. But I think it's going to be a defensive struggle. But I think RIFC find the way to scratch one home. That's my big.
Yeah, I mean, my big thing to look out for in this game that I'm really curious about is due to the style that North Carolina play, a little bit more of a low block, kind of sit back. You guys aren't super high possession. You're not pressing like crazy. We've seen Rhode Island FC do really well lately at being the team who kind of does more of that and more on the counter. So can we continue to score goals the way we have been lately? kind of having to take the game to the opponent in a lot of ways. So I am very intrigued to see if our style can continue to be flexible in that regard. So
that's why I think it's going to be a boring game. I think this one's going to be bad. Don't tune in.
I won't talk about the weather because every time I do it goes wrong. But the weather, could be a positive one for this one. We'll just say that. But, but
I haven't checked yet.
It's good. It's good stuff. But
I mean, if it was playing here, it would be at least a 30-minute delay on thunderstorms, and then we get another 30-minute delay in the second half because that's the weather we're at right now.
Ugh.
So when I flew into Raleigh, it was to go to the Notre Dame at NC State football game, and we actually had to evacuate the stadium because it got struck by lightning, and it was one of their first games with this big new scoreboard, and it was short-circuiting out. It was absolutely crazy. So we got evacuated, soaked in the rain, and just drank a hell of a lot more.
That's basically any NCFC or NC Courage game in the summer. We're right in the thick of it.
That was my experience in Raleighwood, my one and only so far. But Zach, thanks for taking the time to join us. Any final thoughts? Anything else you want to share before we sign off on this one?
Yeah, I actually don't think I mentioned the name of the team when I was talking at the beginning.
Oh, your team.
Mountains to Sea FC. I think I've got the jersey on right now.
Oh, awesome.
This logo. Yeah, follow us on Twitter at MTN to CFC. I think it's TO to C.
Cool. Now I'll try to be sure to tag you in the post too as well. You know, it was funny. Like I'd seen your post, I'd seen the logos out there, and like I didn't connect the fact that it was you. And like I follow you on Twitter, and like we've talked on a podcast before. But when you said it, I was like, oh shit, yeah, like I know that. I've seen that.
It's a small world. Everything is connected. Everything is connected in the lower league soccer world.
That's it. Absolutely perfect. Ryan, any final thoughts for you?
No, I was really excited for this match until Zach was adamant that it's going to be an absolute piece of shit. But no, I mean, really excited to get back to Bern. Feel like I haven't been there in a while. So definitely excited. Definitely excited for some big news from the Tide Talk. So again, stay on the lookout. We're very excited about some upcoming things, and up the Tide as always.
I know we talked a lot about it on Discord earlier, but anyone that watches, or if you're listening back to this one and you're a season ticket holder, your priority number as well as survey for your seating interest for next season at Tidewater is out there. So check your email box, check your inbox. If you didn't get it, email your ticket rep. And it's just kind of asking what type of seats you'd like to get into for next year, enter your email, update your phone number and all that. I think they started early because they want our money early. Zach said it usually doesn't start till February for NCFC.
September.
All right. So, getting an early start, they want your deposit. I'm interested to see what the price point change is going to be from Bern to a brand new state-of-the-art stadium. So that'll be intriguing to see.
Yeah, there is a link in the email. I thought it was only for the premium seats. It is for everybody. So click the link in the email. I completely missed that. So
I will
you might actually see me out there for a game when NCFC play Rhode Island next year because I've got family that lives about 10 minutes away from the stadium.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
I'll have to get you over to the tailgate.
Yeah.
I will also say if you use an iPhone and you're trying to access the email, the club logo blocks your account number, and
ooh, important information.
Account number, and what was the other number they gave you? Priority
number or something, which I don't get how they're different. But
yeah, so you can't see it if you're on an iPhone. I had to use the Gmail app, and it works fine on the web as well. Kevin wants to know,
still figuring out the kinks.
That's it. Is there a big announcement soon? There is a big announcement soon. Oof, I can't wait. I'm excited for this one. I'm excited to see you later tonight, Kevin. Excited to see you again tonight, Ryan. So that'll be pretty cool, pretty interesting. But that'll wrap things up for this one. Remember, Tide Talk is more than just a podcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for daily social media content. Click that link in this episode description to follow all of our accounts. Thank you again for tuning in. Thanks for joining us, Zach. I've been your host, Matt, for Ryan and Zach from Target Strike NC. Thanks again. We'll see you next time. Ryan, I'll see you in a few. Be on time, please. All right. And as always, up the Tide.
Up the Tide. And actually, quick plug, be on the lookout for our pre-match content on TideTalkRI.com. We got Matt Hands with the lookout. We got Patrick with the pre-match essentials. So make sure to keep your eyes peeled there as well.
This is like the fourth time you guys have said bye. Is it actually time?
It's like I don't know if anyone listens to Smart List. They keep doing a bit where they just keep going. So same thing.
That's it. I don't know. Maybe
too much to plug. We're all over the place.
Maybe I won't sign off. Maybe we'll just let it roll. But
yeah, we'll just keep talking. Yeah.
Just live view of my office. See you guys.
That's it.